One thing that I think all of us as alumni can appreciate is the class of 2020 not being able to walk in commencement this spring. But didn't take very long for the university to pivot. Talk a little bit about August 1st.
Yeah, so initially we were just going to ask our graduates of 2020 to walk with us in December or May. They really wanted to have their own, and we heard that, and they didn't want to have a virtual one like some other schools are doing. They wanted their parents to be there, to have their friends there. We all can understand that. You know what that feels like, walking across the stage, shaking the hand of the president, getting your diploma, and having your parents there to cheer you on. So we've set a date of August 1st. We're going to do everything we can to hold our commencement August 1st. Try to get students back on campus, get their parents here, their friends, maybe do a little bit for the Idaho economy, the Moscow economy in the process, and try to do it as safely as possible and be prepared for that. So we're excited about it. I have to admit, I think it was the right decision at the end of the day. I was worried about it in the early days, whether or not we could do this, but I'm confident now we could do this. We can do it safely. And it's just going to be a very great day for our class of 2020. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, agreed. I'm getting excited to welcome him to the alumni family as well. That is going to be a good day. Scott, you sent out a virtual State of the University address last week and it was a great recap of kind of where we're at, both the challenges, which are pretty real, but the highlights as well. Can you go over the challenges first? And I know the COVID one, absolutely, but there are others that we're dealing with.
Yeah, well, I kind of just went through those, really the major ones. We started the year with a cut to our budget by the legislature of 2% reduction, which, while not the end of the world, added on to, already, our attempt to cut $22 million out of our fiscal year 21 budget, the one going forward, because the $14 million we took out the prior year was really a temporary cut. So we needed a more permanent solution. So that's where our challenge started. And then, on the back of that, to have COVID hit, and, we estimate that'll probably end up costing us about $15 million before all is said and done. And the governor's announced another 5% holdback, plus another 1% on top of the other 1% he'd held back in the last fiscal year. So it just keeps coming, but we're adjusting. We're adjusting our budgets, and we're trying to work on finding alternative funding sources for us going forward that are a bit more stable, and we're making good progress on that. So a lot of challenges in that regard, and then there's challenges obviously preparing for the fall, because we plan to be open. We plan to have our beautiful campus ready to go, and that means that we have to do some hard work in the meantime, some detailed planning about how that's all going to operate. We're looking to stand up our own lab. Not everyone knows that, but we've talked to state officials, and we have a clear path now to set up our own COVID testing lab on campus. It will help us turn around, those tests within 24 hours instead of waiting, a week to 2 weeks for the state lab to get back to us, and should provide more bandwidth for the entire state, even though we'll primarily be focused in northern Idaho. We're going to have thermal imaging devices wherever we can, so people will know if they're running the temperature and can adjust, and then we can get them tested, and we'll be prepared just like we were last time, setting up isolation wings and those sorts of things. So those are some of the challenges we're facing, and we're working hard right now to make sure that we're really prepared for the fall, and there's a lot yet to do.
One of my favorite parts about the State of the University was, despite all the challenges, there's some great work still going on at the university, and the way our communities approach the challenges, I think I've heard you say that that's a proud thing too.
Yeah, it's inspiring. It is. When you see how everybody's gone on with it, just like Vandals do, within a week's notice, basically faculty went online. They completely pivoted and got their things online. The amount of support our students got, it just made me proud. We just got some survey results, a few days ago, which just shows that, our faculty did a great job. Our staff did a great job. And the students, gave us credit for that. Are they happy? No. Are they worried about COVID? Yes. Are all of them coming back? Some are still not sure, but they gave us high marks for everything that we did. It just makes me proud how we responded and how we treated our students compared to some other universities across the country. We did our best to treat them the right way.
There were some research highlights in that State of the University address too that I thought were fascinating. I'm always amazed at what our faculty are working on.
Yeah, no, they really were. We got some great partnerships out there. SEL gave us some research money, $2.5 million to do, help us, with our nation leading cybersecurity program. And we're doing some great research as well. Sending a boat. I call it a drone. They don't like that. It's a robocopter or something, but it looks like to me. we're sending one to Titan, which will be great. And our Professor Barnes is a co-lead on that. Running a group of about 35 people across the planet. So, it's a pretty big thing. And we haven't talked about this yet because it's still kind of, it's not completely signed and sealed, but it appears we're going to get another $10 million grant from the federal government for our research center in Rupert, a cafe. So we've had some big wins here in the last few months, and they've kind of been overshadowed by all of our budget issues and by COVID. But I tell you, we're still moving ahead and we're managing the university. We're doing some amazing things. So I'm very proud of the team.
From someone from the outside looking in, you've had a very interesting first year as president. And I'm just wondering, how do you keep going? How do you keep driven? How do you keep problem solving? What's the motivation?
Well, I think it's just because I'm just happy to be home, and I care about this place as everybody who works here does, and all of our alumni do. It just, it's a special place, and that keeps you motivated. I mean, you just, when you love the job and the people you're working with, it just naturally keeps you going. And yeah, there's some days that were really tough, but gosh, in those days, it just seems like that's when you get the emails from faculty and students and alumni just saying, you're doing great, keep going, and it's and it just keeps you motivated.
Excellent. So your roots at the university are very, very deep. Talk about the first time you came to the University of Idaho.
Well, I don't remember it, but I guarantee you I was here when I was, before I could walk. I have very, very great memories of the University of Idaho when I was growing up here. I was born in Moscow. My grandfather, of course, was head of the physical education department within the College of Education, as well as eventually athletic director. And when I was small, I still remember he'd bring me to his office, to work. And, in the early days, I'd crawl underneath his desk until I could throw a basketball, and then he'd leave me in the memorial gym, and I had all that as my playground, and just some great memories of that. And, obviously when my father moved and we went to Boise after he graduated law school. In fact, I see Jack Hawkins there. I went to Boise High with Jack. We were classmates. Pretty much every summer I'd end up, at least until probably until about my sophomore year in high school, I'd go up to the university. My grandfather, we'd go fishing. He always had me in different programs. My sophomore year in high school, I remember my dad bought a ranch. And so from that point on, I started spending my summers on the ranch. And that's when I decided I didn't want to do that anymore when I grew up. So it was a good moment to do what was cool.
Oh dear. When you were a student, you were heavily involved. ASUI senator, ASUI president. Talk about that time and some of the lessons learned that may have helped you do the job you're doing now.
Yeah, I was a Sarby too.
That's right, you were. Good job.
Don't forget that. Yeah, no, it was a great experience. Actually, I often say this, and it's absolutely true. I made all my biggest mistakes at the University of Idaho, and the great thing about that is that, you're among friends in a community that'll just pick you up, brush you off and send you on your way again, and boy, dealing with the Argonaut and dealing with the political environment in the state and dealing with other students. I mean, everything was just, it was just a great learning experience, and I'm glad I did it here. I did it when I got out in the real world, and we're dealing with national press and dealing with some of the things that had gone wrong in business, and you have to go out there and those are great skills to have. And you learn to be very careful about what you say and how you say it, and make sure you're factually correct and say it in a way that's empathetic. And because you are, you just want to make sure that everyone understands. Listen, if you make a mistake and a business makes a mistake, you own up to it and you do better. And I learned that at the University of Idaho.
Excellent. You stay connected after graduation too. I know you served on the College of Business and Economics Advisory Board. You were on the foundation board. You served on the alumni board. How important is it for members of the Bandel family to stay connected like that?
Well, it's critically important. The Bandel network is powerful. It really is. And the more you're connected to it, the stronger you are as an individual, because you're surrounded by, a lot of other Bandels who have the same experience that you do, and we're all brought together by by the same institution and our experience there, and the people that are part of it. So I encourage everyone I talk to stay involved, and because it makes us all stronger, and individually and together. So, and it helps us, position ourselves to pay it forward, which I think is also another Bandel trait that's amazing. And by staying connected, you find ways to give back.
We have quite a few alumni giving back right now in terms on the enrollment front, writing cards to prospective students. What are some other areas where we can help you?
Yeah, well, it seems like these days it's recruiting 24/7, but it's also about getting our story out there about the value of our university. We're really struggling throughout the state with higher education in general, just not the University of Idaho, getting our story told and getting support out of the legislature right now. We're their favorite, favorite. Punching bag these days. And the truth is that we don't really deserve that. I think we create a lot of value for the state, a great return on investment for the state of Idaho. And it's just a matter of getting our story told, because right now it seems like all anyone cares about is their Freedom Foundation score, and I don't really think that's fair for the University of Idaho and our mission. We elevate so many people. This place has elevated me. I know it's elevated all of you. We all have a story to tell, and we just need to tell it. And we need to make sure that the citizens of our state realize all that we're doing for them, because they may not they may not fully know everything that we do. My own mother, when she sees some of these videos, she goes, I didn't know we did that. So it's important.
Wow.
It's important that we get out there and tell those stories, right? Clearly, I didn't do the right job with my mother. She didn't know half the stuff we were doing. So.
Yeah. So I think it's time we've got a lot of questions coming in on chat line. So let me turn to those real quick. I want to make sure we get as many of those in before our time together is over with. So here's one. Are there considerations for a different class structure or timeline due to the possibility of another upsurge in COVID again this fall? I know several people have found it very online classes difficult and are questioning their return to campus.
Yeah. And for us, that's, we're a destination campus. So and a lot of these surveys again are saying that, that nationally kids they're thinking about staying closer to home, or even not returning because they just don't see the value in the online experience. And I get that. The campus experience for us is important, and so we need to be open. And we are planning for what we call a high flex model. So at least for some of our larger classes, we will be both live and streaming at the same time, as well as having things recorded so folks can come back to them. And that will give us the opportunity, if we need to do proper social distancing, provide different formats, to try to keep everybody safe. So I'm not really we're not really changing the timing. I think it's how we execute. And of course, we, as I mentioned, all those precautions that we're taking, which worked for us very well in the spring. But we're under no illusion that when everyone comes back in the fall, they'll bring COVID with them. So for us, it's about, how quickly we can identify, help, test, help, isolate, and contain. And if we are unable to do that at some point, we will go back online, but that's not our intent. We truly intend to try to manage through this process, and we think we can do that.
Excellent. Actually, there's a related question. Are you looking at using the Memorial Gym or the Kibidon to set up classes if more room is needed to spread out the students? That's an idea.
Yeah, well, that's probably, it's actually been considered. That's something I kind of leave with Provost Lawrence at this point, and they're really working on how we're delivering these larger classes. In particular, the smaller classes are a bit easier. It's the big lecture type classes we're struggling with, but they're thinking about things like, if we have the high flex model, maybe you divide the class up into thirds, and one day you're in class with the professor and have the chance for that live experience, and so if it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Wednesday and Friday you're home, or vice versa, streaming at the stream. But so they're just working through all of that, and but you're right, we could use the Kibbe Dome, we could use Memorial Gym. There are other big areas that we could probably repurpose.
Here's one about cafe. Several years after Idaho, when I returned to the U.S., I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. One of the highlights of that university is the dairy department that produces great cheese and wonderful ice cream. What are the initial ideas for the cafe operation in Magic Valley? Is there a possibility to have a Bandel Gold, that's the person's name for the cheese, for a dairy products store at one of the interstate truck stops? I think this would be a super marketing thing to do.
Yeah, so I really can't speak to the products. When I was younger, I remember we used to make at least sherbet at the University of Idaho, because my grandfather used to come home with these big tubs of it. But we really don't do that anymore. And other than Bandel brand meats, we try not to compete out there. But I would love to see us do that. But one of the ideas is that our Discovery Center, which is part of Cafe, which will be built in Jerome, right there on the freeway. And we're imagining a Tillamook type experience, where you come in and we'd have all the Idaho dairy products there, as well as an education and learning center for kids that is friendly, that people traveling across the country can stop at and come in and enjoy. And they would have ice cream and cheese and all the other dairy products that we offer, and other products from Idaho. So, and it would also be a place where we would some of the researchers would stay, and because it's within shouting distance of Rupert, which is where the main dairy would be. And there'll be video there, so you can watch the operations as well, what's going on at the research dairy as it's happening. So that'll be our Discovery Center, and that's kind of another phase 2, if you will, of the Research Center Cafe. And then the final phase 3, is for a processing at CSI that we'd be partnering with them on food processing. So it's a big project, and we're really excited now. We've gotten $10 million of private financing, we've gotten $10 million of state financing, and now $10 million of federal, and combined with the university resources, we're good. We're up and running. So it's we'll look to open that in about 2.5 more years, and it'll be operational.
It's going to be an amazing addition to the dairy industry in the state, for sure. Great support for that. For them.
It's we have the 3rd largest dairy industry in the country, and this will be the largest research dairy in the country, and the only one ever built from scratch. So that's helping us do some amazing things. We're already taking samples from the dairy itself, so just establish a baseline. It's going to be really, really world class.
Someone wants to know, is it true that you've actually been calling students to come back to school or to consider coming to the University of Idaho?
Yeah. So this is my list. President Green's calling list. I don't know if you can see that. It's not really showing up there.
It's like multiple pages.
Yeah, and I have to admit I'm a bit deficient, but yes I am, and yes I do, and I'm doing everything I can to get these students onto our campus, because I know once we have them here, we've got them. But it's difficult right now. A lot of kids are already committing, even though just they've only seen campuses virtually, and I'm trying to get kids not to do that. To visit our campus, because boy, once they're there, our yields are 70s, in the 70s, so we just have to get them there. Unfortunately, you can't really do that at the moment, but I've talked a few into waiting, so we'll see.
Good, good, good. And I don't know if we can do a virtual show of hands. How many of you have written cards to prospective students to try to get them to come to the University of Idaho? Just raise your hand. Yeah, quite a few, quite a few. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the alumni office for that effort. We've gotten good feedback from the students who've received those cards, and they appreciate that personal touch. I wrote 25 and thought I was doing really, really well until I found out there was an English teacher who wrote 500. So
500.
Yeah, 500.
So I wrote her a personal card. That was pretty impressive. So
it was pretty impressive. Beyond writing cards, what else can we do to help with the recruitment, though, Scott? Is there anything else that we can step up to do? Tell our story and do the card writing. Anything else?
Well, yeah, again, and I guess it's part of telling our story. Just if you've got family, friends, anyone, we just always need to be talking about the university and getting those kids interested in what we're doing. And I'm always willing to talk to them. So if you know some that are on the fence or thinking about it, I hate losing kids to Utah State University. I don't get it, to be honest. It drives me crazy. And one happened the other day, and I just want to reach to the phone and grab them, saying, "Do you know what you're doing?"
What are you thinking?
Yeah, what the hell Logan, Utah? Really? You want to go to Logan? You could be in Moscow,
Have you ever been to Logan, Utah? Yeah.
That's right. I have. I've been there. Don't want to live there, I guarantee you.
Okay.
Anyway, so anything you can do to help us connect, and I'm willing to do it. And I know many of the faculty are as well. And of course, SEM is all over this. They're doing a great job, I think, thus far. So, but we just got a long way to go to get to where we need to be.
Right. Here, I have, from afar, I have not lived in Idaho for decades since I graduated. It seems to me that each new president in the last 30-year parade of presidents has struggled for his first 3 years to understand the state, university culture, and the importance of Greek alumni to the institution we love. What have you learned in your first year? Kind of had a head start on 3 of those.
Yeah, as a Kappa Sig, and I've been, as you pointed out, Kathy, I've been very involved. Whether it's been on the U of I Foundation or on the Business School Advisory Board, or the being president of the alumni board at one time. So I've had the the privilege of having a head start. From growing up on campus, going to school here, and then staying current with what was going on at the university all these years. So I don't think I've struggled from that point of view. I think the only thing we've been struggling with, and it was no surprise, we're going to have budget issues, and it's one of the reasons why I came back. And we'll get through this. It's painful, but we'll get through it. It's a very manageable deficit. I know it's a big number, but I'm very confident this time next year it'll be a thing of the past. We'll have it well under, or at least well under control. Is the COVID situation that I'm most concerned about, and that's a one-time shot. I'm pretty sure of it, but it could be a big shot this fall if we don't manage enrollments as well as we need to. So, and I am concerned because it's a national phenomenon. It's nothing that we can work hard and change things incrementally on the ground, but we're not going to change the overall view of COVID. And frankly, a lot of our applications were up 14%, our admissions were up 10%. So we should have been well up this year, all things being equal. But a lot of those increases came out of the California and Seattle markets, and I just think that those markets are still struggling. When I talk to the presidents in those areas, they're still struggling. And the kids are seeing that, and the kids are, they're concerned about traveling, going away from home. So we're kind of fighting that fight. That's what we're up against.
Sure. I just want to ask follow up. What's been the biggest surprise coming back and serving as president?
It's a pleasant surprise. And that was just, I wasn't quite sure as a non-traditional how I'd be able to work with the faculty. And I'll tell you, it's just been a pleasure. I just find them so open, to ideas. And we debate about a lot of things. We don't always agree on everything, but I think there's just a great, healthy respect there, going both ways. And I've enjoyed it. I didn't expect to, because I've worked with highly intelligent people in the past, law partners who you can't fire, and it's very similar when you have tenured faculty. But we just got a great culture here. We really do. It's just a great community, and I kind of remember that from when I was a kid, but it was really all around College of Education at the time. But it's truly widespread. I mean, we've got a great community in Moscow, and it was a bit of a surprise, I have to say.
Sure. Got a question here about the furloughs. We no final decision yet, but they're mandatory furloughs for faculty and staff on the table, at least. Can you talk a little bit about that, Scott?
Yeah. So we sent out a memo recently. We've got some details we have to get out there. Of course, nobody wants to wait for that. So we're already going to put together, some detailed communications to get out there, and that was always the plan. But we are taking furloughs. Both Boise State and ISU and LCSC are in the same boat. I think we're all under really financial constraints given the governor's holdback, as well as our concerns about enrollment in the fall. So we're not immune from that. We're rolling out a furlough program that really it's progressive in that it starts at only 24 hours for our most junior people, and that would be prorated if they're part-time. And I'm the highest, and which is effectively about 15 days. With much heavier emphasis on those who make over 90,000. So it's a progressive furlough policy. It will address the governor's holdback, again, we'll have to wait till we see what we see in the fall about where we land on enrollments. But at least we know that we will have the governor's holdbacks covered.
Great, thank you. We have time for one last question. Let me see here what I've got here.
Great picture of the Fiji house there, Mitch. Well done.
Here we go. An athletics question. What do you think of the proposed new NCAA rules regarding student athletes being paid for their names, images, and likenesses? And how do you see it impacting you by athletics? Wow, that's a question. How do you see it impacting you athletics, furthering the divide between the haves and have-not? Do you see other concerns such as booster involvement and Title IX implications? Nothing like a nice little easy question to close with, right?
Yeah, it's really one for Terry, but I will say that I don't think we expect too much impact on us. There's very few athletes, I think, who would probably get sponsorships here. There's probably a few. If you think about someone like Trayvon Martin, that Trayvon probably would have got something like that. Maybe Jeff Cotton, but be like what they're going to see, in the Power Five, and they're pros now. It used to be a free education was kind of where it is, but there's just become such big money now that they're just turning these kids into pros, and I think it's kind of sad, honestly. But on the other hand, it's a new day, and I can't hold on to the old way it was, and these kids deserve to go out and earn a living, and so. We'll do it, and we'll support it, and we'll try to make it work on our campus best we can without it tearing at our social fabric. But it'll be difficult. It'll be difficult.
Last question from me, and I'm going to give you the opportunity for almost the last word. Scott, if you could say anything to the Bandel family right now, what would it be? In any message you want for us to carry on for you?
Well, I think we just need to keep calm and carry on, Bandel on, if you will. There's a lot of anxiety out there, and I get that. But one thing that is so true about Bandels, I mean, we're brave and bold, and you don't hear a lot of whining. There's anxiety. People are concerned and even scared, but they just get the job done, and that's what happened, this year. And I just want everyone to know that. And you guys, alumni get it because they've been here. They understand what we're about, but not everybody else does. And they just need to understand that we're this isn't the first pandemic the University of Idaho has been through. It's not the first budget crisis. We'll be here, and we'll be strong coming out the other side of this, because that's what we do. And so I'd say, keep calm and Bandel on. That's what we need to make sure everyone understands.
I was going to wear my Keep Calm Bandel on shirt for this, and I forgot to, but just a shameless plug for that. You can buy that shirt at the bookstore, and a portion of the proceeds go to help students who might be experiencing financial difficulty because of COVID. So that is a great segue. So thank you again, Scott. Just awesome conversation, and so proud and happy that you're our leader right now. Thank you for that. Thanks to all of you who have joined us virtually, alumni, members of the Bandel family. I really appreciate that. One thing that we've discovered as an alumni office with COVID-19 is that you can offer virtual programming, and people from all over the country will join you. So we're actually probably going to continue some virtual programming long after COVID is just a painful memory in our history. So this sort of thing, we've had online cooking classes, online painting classes, Wind Down Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays. You might be noticing a trend there, but yeah, we're going to try and keep up this virtual programming, just because it is a great way to connect when you can't just hop in the car and be there. So with that,
I just like to jump in here because we got about 80 people on the line, and I just just want to shout out Sandra Stacky is on the line from Long Island. She was a graduate student. She's my English teacher.
She worked at the Argonaut.
That's right. So she's there. I see that she's there. Temple Kenyon, who used to work with, in the alumni office there, Mr. Pittman, thank you. He's the one who, the Bandel on a Carry-On t-shirts, they go, and the proceeds are going to support the fund that the students that's named after him, and we appreciate that. There's so many more here, but I just want to say just a few shout outs. Just great to see everybody, and thanks for checking in. What a lot of fun.
It's awesome. So with that, have a great rest of your evening. And as always, go Vandals.
Go Vandals.